To have on Garrett Podell, the newest NFL writer on CBS Sports. So if we want to have a fake applause here for Garrett, how you doing, my man? Hey, Garrett, I think you're muted, buddy. I think you're muted. Can we hear you now, Garrett? Anyway, while Garrett gets set up here, one of the things we wanted to talk about with this show, while we get Garrett set up here, one of the things I did want to mention with Garrett coming on in here is Garrett is going to be relocating to Texas. He's going to be doing a lot of the Cowboys stuff for Good Morning NFC East. So again, he's doing that for CBS. Not a Cowboys fan, by the way. So is Garrett back? Did we get Garrett? Is he back? Anyway, I kind of wanted to continue our conversation with Tone when it came to the NFC, East, the Eagles and the Giants and the Cowboys. And I think Garrett's back. Are you back?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, I got you loud and clear now, buddy.
Fantastic.
So after giving you that rousing introduction, as Bette Midler would say in Hocus Pocus, how you been, Garrett?
I've been phenomenal. Thank you so much for having me. I'm down here, like you mentioned, in Cowboys country in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But like you said, you're not getting the Cowboys fan perspective. I promise you I'll bring a measured take for you and everybody else in the Philadelphia area. Excited to join you.
What did you think of that Cowboys win last night, though?
It was impressive. Everyone likes to say the Cowboys, the playoffs, that's when they come up short. That's when they wait to show you who they are. But, last night was an impressive win. Dak Prescott had his best playoff game, 5 total touchdowns. The only thing you can really complain about is the kicking, but at the end, Brett Maher knocked one through. But he had plenty of margin of error in that game because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were a team who had a fork sticking out of their back for a lot of this year. They just weren't the same. They had like 3 offensive line injuries right off the bat, and that just kind of set the tone for the downhill spiral that they experienced this season, I think.
I was dying when ESPN actually missed Maher making the kick. How do you? I don't understand that logic. He missed 4 straight. Did they not want to see him miss 5 in a row?
I don't know, Jeff. I mean, the memes and the tweets are all super fun. So maybe they were assuming, oh, this kick's going wide right, because it's funny. One of the Cowboys team reporters, she tweeted from the sideline last night, hey, he's trying to kick the ball into the net here. He's missing the net. The ball's flying up into the stands. I mean, this was getting cartoonishly bad. So I have no idea, but good for Maher to make 1 or 2. Everyone's had a really bad day at the office, and his just happened to be on national television on a Monday night.
Did you happen to catch what Dak Prescott said? I think it was after the 3rd one where he said basically go for effing 2.
I did. I mean, it's an interesting thing to see because Mac Jones complaining about Matt Patricia's play calling during a few games, dropping F-bombs, got a lot of traction, but the Patriots are losing games. So I think since the Cowboys won, it'll all get swept under the rug. And I mean, he took to the podium last night and said, everyone's had a, awful game. That's not quite the word he used, but he said, I'm with Brett. And I saw from some tweets, I wasn't in the locker room last night, but some people were reporting Dalton Schultz before Maher's availability said, we stand with you, Brett. So seems like he still has the locker room. I mean, you kind of have to, because I don't know how you can bring somebody in this short notice. And Maher's had a good year. So just a really, really tough night for sure. In what was otherwise a pretty Cowboys win.
So late in that game, when I'm trying to remember the exact score, but when Dallas got their last touchdown, when they went for it on the 4th and 4, I'm thinking to myself, why don't you just let Maher kick just to kind of get the kid's confidence back up? Because you know how kickers are. They're very finicky, and they're in that routine. And that was, it wasn't an extra point distance, but it was close to it. You wanted to see him make something, especially when you're going to be playing San Francisco next week. And I honestly, they got lucky. Tampa Bay had a blow in coverage, and they scored because that Maher could kick an extra point. But I don't know. I just think I would have kicked the field goal there just to give him that opportunity.
I completely understand that logic. And from where they were, I think it would have probably been a field goal that was under 40 yards. So honestly, a similar distance, like you were saying, to an extra point. But at that point, it's hard to second guess much of what the Cowboys did. I put that more on the Buccaneers, obviously, just being an absolute shell of what they were the last couple seasons. But yeah, everything came up Cowboys last night. I can't really second guess that too much. And yeah, there's an absolute blown coverage, but Dak and CD did what they were supposed to do. A little pitch and catch. Can't complain too much there.
Did you think Mike McCarthy did enough to keep his job?
He's got consecutive 12-win seasons, Jeff. There aren't many other sports franchises where we'd be having should this coach keep his job after back-to-back 12-win seasons. And, they improved upon last year's result. They did win a playoff game. So hats off to him. I don't know about what this next week's going to bring, especially with the short week. And I saw Tony Dungy tweet, they're going to lose about 52 hours this week between flying back from Tampa and then flying out to San Francisco and doing it on a short week. So I don't know if they'll be able to do that in addition to playing a loaded San Francisco 49ers team. But look, I don't think he should be losing his job for losing to the second highest seed in the conference in the divisional round.
I saw the Dungy tweet too, and it kind of bugs me when they say short week, short week, short week. Well, the Giants are on a short week because they play the Eagles on Saturday, and whoever won this Monday game is going to be on a short week anyway. We've had short weeks in the playoffs plenty of times in NFL history, but it seems like they're magnified now with this Monday night playoff game, which I wanted to ask you, Garrett. Do you like the Monday night playoff game?
I don't, Jeff, for a number of reasons. One, I didn't get it quite as enough sleep, so I could be on here even more fresh-faced here with you on a Tuesday morning. Two, look, I can be a traditionalist in a couple areas. Just give me my Saturday and Sunday football. What are we doing with Monday night on the playoffs? I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. I like Joe and Troy. They're a fun listen, as well as the Manning cast. But no, I enjoy football on the weekends.
I don't know why ESPN just can't do a Sunday game. But again, when you're paying the most money out of anybody, including us, I think they're playing. I think they actually pay more money than we do for our NFL package. It just seems like they got to be thrown a bone, and they're getting a Super Bowl when the next broadcast contract comes in a couple of years. I think it's 2026. ESPN gets it. But yeah, I would agree. I'm not a fan of Monday Night Football in the playoffs. I agree. Super Wildcard Weekend, again, it kind of defeats the purpose of Super Wildcard Weekend when you have 2 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday, and 1 game on the Monday. Just give me 3 on Saturday, 1 4:30 and 8, 3 on Sunday, 1 4:30 and 8. Call it a day. Now, I did want to get into the Final Four of the NFC here. Obviously, the show is Good Morning NFC East, and we got 3 NFC East teams left. Who would have thought that back in August? But this Eagles-Giants game, if you're an Eagles fan, would you really be scared of the Giants?
No, because there's an interesting stat. This is going to be the 25th time there's a divisional rematch of a team that was swept in the regular season. The team that went 2-0 is, I think, won 15 out of 24. So that's nearly 2/3 of the time. The team that won the first two is going to win the third. So if I'm the Eagles at home, Jalen Hurts has had a week to rest, I'd feel pretty good. And, some of the other guys who have been injured, like CJ Gardner-Johnson and some others, a week off. We saw, like you mentioned, the Giants, they had a week off. They played one of their best games of the year. Eagles just had a week off. I'd feel pretty good if I were an Eagles fan. I mean, the last time that these two teams played and the Giants were trying, everything seemed to work for the Eagles. They had a 4th down pass that went about 40-something yards for touchdown on the right sideline to Devontae Smith. I mean, they were pulling whatever they wanted out of the bag, and it was working. So I know the Giants looked awesome in Minnesota. Daniel Jones, best game of his career, in my opinion. Phenomenal. But no, if I'm an Eagles fan or someone in Philly related to the team, I'm looking forward to this matchup.
And I agree with what Tones of Shield said about that Vikings defense. Swiss cheese. The Eagles defense clearly is not Swiss cheese. They're the first team to get 70 sacks since the 1980s, people. I think there's so much disrespect sometimes when it comes to how good this Eagles team can be, because we keep raving about the 49ers, and everybody knows how good Dallas is, and Dallas did beat the Eagles in Week 16, although Gardner Minshew was the starting quarterback, Garrett. So I got to ask you on the NFC hierarchy here, if of those three teams, where would you rank the Eagles?
I think, you got to put them number one. They won 14 games, most in franchise history. And when Jalen Hurts is out there, they don't lose many games at all. I think only one loss, 2 losses. But look, I don't think you can take anything away from the Eagles. And the Cowboys swept the Giants this year. So you got to put the Giants at 3, in my opinion. So I think it goes Eagles, Cowboys, and Giants there. I don't think you'd find too many people who are going to argue with that, unless you're a Giants fan who's riding super high off the win, and Daniel Jones looking like he deserves a humongous contract off that one playoff game sample size. But look, I think the Eagles have a lot to look forward to in these playoffs, and I'm personally excited to see Jalen Hurts in his playoff debut and how effective he's going to be. What's his run game usage going to be like? And I'm somebody who's enjoyed seeing his development over the years. As somebody who I'm a TCU alum, so I watched Jalen Hurts play TCU and absolutely destroy him in college when he was at Oklahoma. So it's been nice to see his trajectory into somebody who's become a much more rounded player.
Now, how far were you from where Jalen Hurts grew up?
So I'm here in the Dallas area. He grew up in Houston, so that's about a little over 4 hours gap.
Yeah, so Jalen Hurts, I mean, I know I heard a lot about him through Max Preps and through 24/7 Sports and stuff when he was in high school. And I don't know if, like, I know Texas high school football is big, obviously.
Yeah.
Like you said, 4 hours is like Philadelphia to Pittsburgh. But at the same time, like, did you guys hear about, the great Jalen Hurts? Or, I don't think he had the hype Kyler Murray did when he was in high school, but Jalen Hurts is pretty good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're getting recruited by Alabama and some of the other big schools, you're aware of him. And I was aware of him when he was in high school. I knew he was pretty good. I hadn't seen, as much of him because they always have the state championships at Jerry World, AT&T Stadium. And, to your point, Kyler Murray, he was undefeated at Allen High School as a starter. And since they were always in the state championship, I would see him in person at those. And seeing Kyler Murray in high school, Jeff, was a religious experience because – he looked like he was playing Madden out there. Spin move was working. He'd bomb it deep after a spin move. He'd take off by himself, 55-yard rushing touchdown. Kyler, to me, you could put up his high school experience as a fan in the stands against anybody's in recent memory, and it'd be hard to top. But now Jalen Hurts was known throughout the state as a guy who was killing it down in Houston, because Houston has a number of really big schools, just size-wise, and to be doing well down there, you have to be pretty good.
What do you think is the one thing you've seen out of Jalen Hurts that you knew he could be a top 5 quarterback in this league?
I think, the comments from Micah Parsons talking about how, it's scheme, it's not him. I think just his development in his deep ball accuracy, to me, Jeff, has really been the difference, because I feel like a year ago, you'd say, okay, let's force him to throw. Let's see, can he beat us deep? If we play press man and his receivers went off the line, can he hit the throw? I think this year he's shown he can hit the throw. I think that's really the biggest thing is, to me, he's shown that he can beat a defense any way he wants with his legs, RPO game, going deep. He can be a drop back passer now. So I just think he's a much more well-rounded player from all areas of the game this year. And that's why I think the Eagles have a really great chance at making a run this year.
I would agree with that too. One thing I noticed with Jalen Hurts, and like you said, with the deep ball in training camp, the guy was just throwing dimes, dots, as Darius Slay calls them. Well, everybody calls them dots, really, but he was throwing dots to AJ Brown. He's throwing dots to Devonta Smith. And I was like, wow, okay, the Eagles might be really good this year. And I thought it was going to be like 12 win good. I didn't think it was going to be 14 win good. But when you're looking at the NFC playoffs as a whole, you got 49ers, you got Dallas in there. Do you think we know it runs through Philly, but do you think Philly takes advantage of that 1 seed and goes to the Super Bowl?
I think it's going to be really interesting. I think they win this week. I don't have much doubt about that. I know if there's any Giants fans watching that, they're going to aggregate. CBS Sports says doesn't have much doubt with this game, but I don't. As I say that though, later on CBS, I am going to make the case for why the Giants can win. That's one of the articles I am writing this week. So there is a path. I will write about it. It will come out later this week. However, I think it's going to be really interesting to see who comes out of the Dallas San Francisco matchup, because if San Francisco wins, they have the best defense in football. They have the ability to make any game a little muddy and take away what you like to do best and really see what you got in terms of plans B through Z offensively. I think if it's Cowboys, Eagles, I like the Eagles matchup there. But if it's the San Francisco 49ers, that offense to me is quarterback proof. It doesn't matter who's back there when you're handing off to Christian McCaffrey, throwing to George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and then the number one defense. So I definitely think an NFC championship game is in the Eagles' future, most likely. Now, I will make the case for CBSSports.com as to how the Giants could be in the NFC title game. But I think they're in a great position to capitalize on it, no doubt.
I'm going to tell you this as someone who had to write from both perspectives last week of why the 49ers will beat the Seahawks and why the Seahawks will beat the 49ers. It was very hard to pick three reasons why the Seahawks would beat the 49ers, and somehow I was able to pull it off. And Seahawks fans kind of laughed till I put at the end. I'm like, okay, if you believe at least two of these things, you truly are a diehard, because I didn't see any path toward them beating San Fran. And that's how I kind of feel with the Giants and Eagles this week. I mean, it could be a close game, but eventually talent's going to prevail. I did want to ask you, though, just being in that Dallas area, you get the full Cowboy experience here. Mm-hmm. You actually get the diehard fan, not the transplants that we get up here who, I like the Cowboys because I hate the Eagles, or I like the Cowboys because I had an inferiority complex when I was younger, or whatever reason it is. You're getting real Cowboy football fans there, so you got to tell me the experience.
Yeah, I think watching the local news here in the Dallas area is one of the more informative experiences. I loved. I worked for one of the awesome local news stations in the DFW area, CBS Channel 11. But pretty much, every sportscast, the Mavericks could have done something really, really cool. Luka Doncic may have dropped 40 that night. The Rangers could have signed Jacob deGrom. It does not matter. TCU could be in the national championship game, but it only for, I think, pretty much TCU being in the national championship game. The week before when they played Michigan in the semis, the Cowboys are leading the sportscast. Oh, here's what Dak and company said after practice today. That leads off the sportscast. So the Cowboys, they get the most oxygen of any team, college or pro, in this area, whether they're in the off season or whether they're playing games. More often than not, they're going to lead the sportscast. And I think, if you're walking around out and about, Cowboys gear everywhere. It doesn't matter what time of year it is. Being a Cowboys fan in this area is a 365-day job. That's how it is here. And these guys, they can't get enough of their team. I respect the fandom, thick and thin, no matter how disappointing they are in the playoffs one year to the next. Since 1996, that's kind of what it's been, a little more disappointing. But they're a faithful bunch for sure.
This is what I got to ask you now, because up here, if you're a Cowboys fan, you're typically a Yankees fan, a Lakers fan, a Duke fan, a North Carolina fan, a Michigan fan. Is it like that down there, or do they actually root for the Texas Rangers, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Dallas Stars?
I know a lot of people personally. They do. They rep the DFW Metroplex 4 teams. Now, you do have, some people who, when Rangers, they've been bad for a couple of years or so, more like 4 or 5. You have some people like that, but in the Dallas area, you do have a lot of fans who do rep all 4 of the major teams in the area. But you will see, some bumper stickers where it's like Cowboys and Yankees, and you get a good chuckle out of it. But that's not the majority down here, I wouldn't say.
See, that's a good thing. So from Eagles fans I've talked to and Giants fans, going down to Jerry World is it's a fun experience. And they said, Cowboys fans are Cowboys fans. It is what it is. But they said, they're also the ones they talked to were very welcoming. Say, hey, this is where you need to go. This is where you need to go. Because it's a big area, right? Right, Garrett? Like, they say everything's bigger in Texas, but like you've covered games at Jerry World.
Yes.
What's it like there?
It's a compound within itself. The first couple times I covered games there, just took me a while to find the right elevator to go down the field level, get back up. Now I got a hang of it. But yeah, I completely understand. It seats 100,000 people. You see the clips that go viral. I mean, the stadium's so big, they pack everybody in, and then they still have standing room only seats, which is how you get the people sprinting into the stadium that you see that they show on the broadcast. People think, are they sprinting to their assigned seats or the ticket? Now they have standing room only seats. But yeah, I mean, it's a humongous football palace to cover a game. But almost every seat in there is a pretty good view, and the press box view is very great. Jerry does a great job with the press box spread. The mac and cheese in the press box is unparalleled, and almost everything else in there is pretty good. So can't complain about the way Jerry treats the media in that regard with the food. But no, and in terms of the viewing experience, it's a lot of fun. I will say anyone who goes down there for a game, if you pay to be there, you really got to be disciplined. Look at the field because the Jumbotron is humongous and very tempting to get caught just looking up, glaring at it. Because it is a marvel to see a screen that big. But yeah, it's a really fun place to watch a game.
Now, I have to ask you, from being in that Dallas area, I know my former colleague, I don't know if you worked with him or not, Patrick Walker, but hated the Eagles. Absolutely despised them. And I used to respond, well, that's because the Eagles have kicked the crap out of the Cowboys the last 20, 25 years or so. Do Dallas fans, is the Eagles their biggest rival now, or do they still go Giants, or is it still Washington?
I think it's the Eagles now, Jeff. I really do. I think just because that's the team that's competitive most of the time. I think if you look at another division, the NFC North, the Packers, Bears, that's the most historic rivalry. But I think if you'd ask most Packers fans right now, they care a little bit more about beating the Vikings because the Vikings have been more relevant over the course of the last decade. And I think that's sort of the same thing here with Cowboys fans. I think historically, some people say, oh, Cowboys, Washington, that's the historic one, even though they play all the other teams, Giants, Eagles a lot too. But yeah, I'd say people get the most fired up here when they're playing the Eagles and there's the trash talk and it's who's the best team in the division. Because these are the two teams who are expected to be the top two teams in the division entering the year. That's how it's played out to this point. Now, if the Giants win next week, unlikely, but then you'd have to obviously rearrange the hierarchy. Yeah, I think that's definitely enemy number one is the Philadelphia Eagles down here in the Dallas area.
Of the 8 quarterbacks ranked or left in the playoffs, where would you rank Jalen Hurts?
That's a great question. So the 8 quarterbacks left, we're looking at Daniel Jones, Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts in the NFC. In the AFC, let's see, who do we have here? We have Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Trevor Lawrence. I mean, so he's obviously ahead of Trevor Lawrence. I'd put him ahead of Daniel Jones also. Body of work the whole season, have to put him ahead of Dak Prescott. So at this point, he's in the top 5. And then, so let's see. So the other guys left, we have Mahomes, Allen, Purdy, he's ahead of Purdy. So now we're in the top 4 here, Jeff. We have, the AFC royalty of Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow, and Jalen Hurts. This is tough. Probably have to put him ahead of Josh Allen because some of the turnover stuff. I mean, Josh Allen led the league in turnovers. So now we're here in the top 3. Here we are. We have Mahomes, we have Joe Burrow, and we have Jalen Hurts. I mean, this is not as you get down, I like playing process elimination to say, okay, so he's got to be better than this guy. This top 3 is really, really good. I mean, look, he was the second team all-pro quarterback, I think, because of that. And, he was on a bye, and so were Mahomes. I think those guys are 1 and 2. I think if Hurts plays the whole year, he would have had a really great shot at MVP. And I think before he got hurt, I think he may have been the betting favorite according to Caesars. I'm going to put him at 2. Eagles fans don't hate me. I mean, Mahomes has been phenomenal this year. So I'd put him at 2. I think it's still just like the All-Pro voting to this point. He's number 2.
One of my favorite stats, and you're a stat guy, you're like me. I think one of my favorite stats was when Jalen Hurts made the All-Pro team. He's the first quarterback from that heralded 2020 class to make an All-Pro team. Not Joe Burrow, who made a Super Bowl. Not Justin Herbert, who has the most passing yards after his first 3 years in the NFL, and not Tua, who led the league in passer rate. It was Jalen freaking Hurts of all people, and it's just incredible how. I mean, we both know the Eagles are good, but this is the guy that, in my opinion, if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, he's the reason.
Yeah, I mean, you have the great defense, and I think that defense there in Philly's been good. It's been a strong defensive front for years, and they've had the offensive line in place for a few years, a lot of those guys. So, yeah, I think if the Eagles do win, I think how far they're going to go is going to depend on how well he can carry that offense down the stretch, no doubt. And it is funny, I think, as we're watching the playoffs here, it reminds you, like, college football, more and more of it's kind of translating into the NFL in terms of style of play. But also, I know not every top college quarterback ends up being good. But, I mean, Jalen Hurts was this stellar player at Alabama, and Alabama won a ton of games with him at quarterback. I just think it's really interesting. I think now you're seeing, if you're a successful college guy who doesn't have a ton of mechanical or size flaws, I feel like you're set up to eventually get around to being a decent NFL quarterback. I mean, Joe Burrow, awesome college guy. Josh Allen's the exception. And Patrick Mahomes put up video game numbers. He's on a Texas Tech team that wasn't very good. But, when we're talking about those top 4 guys, with the exception of Allen, who's an outlier to almost any projection anyone had for him coming out of school, the cream rises to the top eventually. And I think that's what we're seeing here with Jalen Hurts this season.
Of the 8 teams left now, since we use the quarterback rankings, where would you rank the Eagles amongst the 8 teams left?
In terms of just how good they are right now. Right now, I think you'd also have to put them top 2. I know it's basic, but I think they're right up there at the top. I think they definitely probably have an easier path to the Super Bowl than the Chiefs because they're gonna, if they win this weekend, they're gonna have to play. Like we said, one of the other top quarterbacks, Burrow or Allen, in this mix versus if the Eagles win, they're playing either a third-string rookie quarterback or a team with a number of playoff demons in the last 25 years, the Dallas Cowboys. So, I mean, I'd put them at number 2 in terms of how good they are, but I think the Eagles definitely probably have the more clear path out of any team to Arizona in the Super Bowl.
I just thought of this, too, now that you mentioned the whole Mahomes, Allen, Burrow thing. Jalen Hurts pretty much has Dak Prescott, who has 2 playoff wins. And again, I said earlier in the show, Dak Prescott, this is his best chance to go to a Super Bowl because of the inexperience of the other quarterbacks. But pretty much it's your Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, or Daniel Jones standing in the way of Jalen Hurts making the Super Bowl in just his second full year as a starter.
Yeah, it's not Case Keenum in the NFC Championship game, but outside of that 2017 year, which many fans in Philly will remember forever, you're right. I think this is one of the more open NFC brackets in terms of playoff experience for the quarterbacks and some of these teams in a long time. I mean, this is the Giants' first appearance since the 2016 season, and the 49ers, even though they make it every year. Brock Purdy, I'll tell you what, Jeff, they won that Seattle game easily in the second half, but Purdy put a few of them up for grabs. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this is finally the week where he makes 1 or 2 kind of killer turnovers because they're playing a Cowboys team that they've got a pretty solid defense too, top 5 in a lot of metrics, and they're the number 1 pressure rate team. I could see Purdy finally throwing a pick or 2. Now, does that mean they're going to lose? I don't know. I mean, they're a juggernaut, but I think he definitely commits a turnover this week.
Since you brought up the 2017 NFC Championship game, and I know you're a Packers fan, I have to ask you, did you laugh when the Eagles kicked the snot out of the Vikings and it really wasn't the game, basically after Kyle Rudolph caught a touchdown pass to start the game?
Look, we're at CBS Sports. We got to have an unbiased look at all the teams and really evaluate things critically based on what we see on the field. At the same time, Yes, Jeff. There was a part of me that that was smirking watching the game, going, "This is a lot of fun." So we were talking a little bit earlier about who's the team that Cowboys fans probably detest the most and look forward to playing the most. For Packers fans these days, it's probably the Vikings. So yeah, I mean, seeing them look, they had the most one possession wins ever this year. Seeing them lose in the opening round kind of validated what I thought about him and what a lot of people thought about him this year. And yeah, I mean, it was I liked seeing you guys win. Nick Foles, that was a fun run, obviously, and you guys treasure that forever.
This is what I think's funny about the whole NFC Championship game when it happened. I'm sure you've seen all the social media memes about the Vikings going on the art museum steps, the Rocky steps, and doing the skull chant and basically acting like they were taking over the city. And then they pull that whole Minnesota nice crap. I'm sure you guys have heard that over the years.
Yeah, I mean, the Midwest, the hospitality, both there's Southern hospitality down here in the Texas area. But yeah, most people in the Midwest, they'll say, "Hey, how you doing?" You know, and they're genuinely nice people. But yeah, when it comes to their sports, everyone cares deeply about their sports teams and gets really into it and excited for it. So the Midwest hospitality and niceness, there's a lot of people who that is genuine for. But yeah, I mean, when it comes down to your sports team, you're pulling hard, and maybe some of that does go out the window when you're in the stadium.
Yeah, it must be me as a Northeast guy. Like, we're not nice to anybody. It's, you go down south, you get people like you that go, "Hey, how you doing?" Or they reach out to you. They want to start a conversation. I'm like, hey, get away from me. I'm just one of those people. Nothing bad. And I like to talk to people too. Like, I like to ask them about their cultures and stuff they do. But like, I'm just one of those people, like, when I'm walking to the market or when I'm just walking to my car, I kind of want to be left alone, right?
Yeah. I lived in New York for a summer and worked in New York for a great place, Sportsnet New York, and that was a real wake up call for me as someone with a Midwest background and spent a lot of time in the South to be walking around there, and yeah, no one wants to talk to you. They've got better places to be.
They have better places to be, and they got to be there quicker. That's one thing you learn about the Northeast. Everything's about getting from point A to point B as quick as you can. I don't know how it is down in Dallas.
No, I mean, yeah, people like getting where they need to go, but if there's an opportunity still to open a door for somebody and say good day, it'll likely occur.
Yeah. Before I let you go, Garrett, I got to put you on the spot here. Who's winning the Super Bowl?
That's a big question, Jeff. I think if you had to pin me into corner here, like you have me right now, I think I think we see a Super Bowl matchup. I mean, this is super chalky, but Eagles and Chiefs to me, between the Chiefs having, I know if the Bills make it, it's not a home field situation. It's a neutral site game in Atlanta. But I just feel like if the Chiefs, if they're not playing road playoff games, they're going to make the Super Bowl. So I like the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl out of the AFC. Same thing with the Eagles. I think at some point Brock Purdy's inexperience catches up to him, whether it's this week or next week. And if you guys playing the Cowboys, you just assume something's going to go wrong with them at some point in the playoffs, because that's the track record since 1996. So I think it's Eagles, Chiefs. This is really tough. I go back and forth to it. I think that would be a very close matchup. And at the end of the day, I really could see the Eagles, because I think if you can cover Travis Kelce, I was looking into this because I also have to write what do the Jaguars have to do to beat the Chiefs this week? That's one of the other articles I'm writing for CBS Sports on this lovely divisional round week. If you cover Travis Kelce, you can win the game. I mean, I know it's a tall ask. I mean, he's the best tight end in football. One of the best tight ends he's put in a case for in the history of the position. But if you can cover him, you can win. And I think the Eagles, they've got the safeties to move with him a little bit. And so, look, Jeff, I know this might be considered pandering, but I think the Eagles have a really great shot to win that game and win.
They did win 14 games. By the way, I lied. Before I let you go, how old were you when the Cowboys last made the NFC Championship game?
Ooh, you're gonna put me on the spot
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
So
Were you born yet? I'm curious now.
So I was born in the summer of '96, so I was not alive.
I love it. I absolutely, I had to ask because I'm like, I'm not sure how old Garrett is yet, but I'm pretty sure he's younger than the. So you've never
I'm
seen
26. I'm 26 years old. I have not seen the Cowboys in a Super Bowl. No.
That's awesome. That just makes this even better. Garrett Podell, everybody from CBS Sports. Pleasure having you on, my friend, and I'll be sure to get you on again.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeff. Appreciate the time, and hope you have a great day. Had enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks for coming on, Garrett. That just made my day. I was not sure Garrett actually saw the Cowboys playing an NFC Championship game. I was 7, so again, that's where the ages kind of collide there. So, if you want to get your VHS jokes in, please feel free to. But Bird 365 is coming up next with Joe McDonald, with John McMullen. They'll talk Eagles. They'll talk Eagles Giants. I'm sure they'll be talking about the Cowboys win too, and about the NFC East being the impressive division that as it is. And by the way, guys, you will not want to miss tomorrow's show. We got Kevin Boylard on, everybody. Mr. Giants fan himself. He might try to convince himself the Giants are going to beat the Eagles, but Kevin's a realist. I don't think he'll go that far, but we will see. I can't wait to have him on tomorrow. Have a good day, guys.